What's going on, everybody? Durell, the Whiskey Saint, back for another review, guys. And we're going to just dive right in. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe. And I'm a little pumped. What we're going to be talking about, guys, is the infamous Stagg. So I started with obviously the juniors before they ripped the little junior tag off them and kind of fell in love. Will say this, though. My first batch 13, was kind of my beginning of my whiskey journey. And I thought it was a little too hot for me personally at the time. Going back to it now, I love it, but I couldn't really appreciate what I was drinking back then. But now I can. This is the Stagg 24D. All right, coming in at a 127.4 proof. Got a little poured up, guys, and we are going to dive in on the nose. So cheers to you all. So right off the bat on the nose, this comes across really different than the previous Stagg Juniors that I've had. I usually get that cherry, that grapey vibe. I'm not really getting that on the nose at all, to be honest. It's just a good amount of age. Like, it comes across a little older than like the normal ones. A lot more oak presence versus that sweetness of that fruit, like cherry and grape. Yeah, just a lot darker, richer, and just more oaky than those fruit notes. Interesting. Let's go on for a taste, guys. Cheers. So you do get a little bit of that fruit that, Buffalo Trace is infamous for, but it's hidden behind a good amount of spice on the mid and back palate, along with just that oak presence. Like, I would mistake this for maybe like a 10-year product. With the more age I kind of get, like, it's lacking just some flavors. So like it's almost one-dimensional in a sense. Like, it has some good flavor punch. The proof is there. It lingers, like it's still sitting on my tongue, but there's not a lot of flavors. I get oak, a little bit of sweetness from whatever fruit note. It's not really so much grapey either, or cherry, but it kind of opens up to like a slight citrus note. And that's pretty much it. Like a spicy, citrus, oaky. That's kind of surprising, guys, to be honest. Yeah, it's definitely different than some of these recent batches for sure. I think this does lack a little just Buffalo Trace vibe, right? Like what you're used to having. This is completely different. Like, if I nosed this and this was in a blind, I would not think this is Buffalo Trace. I would not think Stagg whatsoever. That's pretty crazy. Let's go in for another sip, guys. That's really wild. A lot of color on this one too. This seems like it's a bit darker than some of the standard ones that I've had in a bit, but yeah, this is just coming across like funky in a good way though, but just different. So I think it really comes down to what your profile is, right? Like, if you like more of that funky oak, you do get a decent amount of that on this, but I just think it's lacking just some depth of flavor, right? Just too one-dimensional for me. Like, it's good whiskey, at retail, which, if you can find these bottles at retail, they're only like $59, $69, right? I think those are still buys all day. But what I'm used to having from Stagg, this just doesn't live up to that level. So that would keep me from just saying like, hey, this is like a must buy, right? Like, don't go and spend like secondary by any means on this. I don't think it's worth that. I prefer more of that fruity vibe. Like, this just doesn't come across as that more Stagg or Stagg Jr vibe that I get, so that's the only reason I'm kind of knocking this a bit. I did score this, guys, and it came in at an 82 for me, which is good. Like anything, like I said, in the 80s typically is pretty good whiskey from us. I was expecting maybe it to be like mid 80s, so slightly disappointed on that end. And I will say this one's definitely not worth that high secondary value. Like, I honestly wouldn't go over that $100 personally. This is just kind of one dimensional for me. For me, it's just not the profile of Buffalo Trace that I prefer personally. So we're going to take one more sip, not much in the glass, guys, and we're going to end it here. It's good. Not great, but good. Not mad at it, guys. Let me know if you guys had this Stagg 24D in the comments. And if you did, let me know what you thought of it. All right, guys. It's been real. I'll have to sign up on here. Cheers.